All right. Welcome to today's episode of the Manifest Massively podcast. I have with me here the wonderful Jessica Tanselle. She is a medium and shamanic healer. And I also one of my favorite people. So I'm really happy to be sharing her with you today. Our conversation will be around intuition and manifestation, and of course, anything else that flows through that is meant to. So, welcome, Jessica.
Thanks for having me, Nicole. I'm super excited to be here.
Yay, me too. I was just saying before we hit record that Jessica and I always have the most fabulous conversations, and it's a gift to be able to share that with listeners, with anyone that's drawn to it. So, we'd love to start with just a little bit about who you are and how you began your intuitive and spiritual journey.
Awesome. So I'm a medium and I'm a shamanic healer. My journey really began in 2009. I was taking a shower and I just had this random thought to myself. And I thought, Jessica, tell your mom I love her. And I'm sorry I wasn't there for her. And I thought, that's a really weird way to think to yourself. And then I immediately knew what had happened and who it was. And so I got out of the shower and I called my mom and I was like, this thing just happened. And she said, Jessica, I got that message 5 years ago from a friend of ours in town that's a wonderful psychic. And she said, I thought it was from my brother Mike. And I just knew it was from her cousin Mark. And they were not getting along when he passed. So it was a really healing message for her. It was really scary and really confusing for me at the time. It was hard to find a teacher. But once I did find a teacher, I felt like my gifts opened up quickly and really took me into not just mediumship, but psychic ability and healing. So my journey has taken me from just learning that I was a medium and realizing that it had been happening my whole life to exploring from being a dental hygienist to opening up a practice where I help people explore their own gifts, sit with their loved ones through mediumship, and work through deep trauma healing. What an amazing thing to be able to do with people.
I love it so much. And I love what I heard is it was almost like you just discovered this deep part of yourself that was always there. And this new level of awareness of who you actually are emerged.
Yeah, and a surprising piece. Like all of a sudden, I could sense people in the corner of the room, or I recognized my grandfather, who I'd never met, was standing next to my bed at night. So it was a quick awakening and really scary for me in the moment, even though I'd always believed, I'd always been curious, I'd watched the shows. But when it happened to me, it was shocking and also so cool now.
Yeah. And I also have to say, Jessica is someone I met within the first year of moving from California to Louisville. And I've watched your journey over the last 4 years and your continued evolving. And it's just really remarkable. So, I mean, just to hear like that's where it started and how profound. And then how understandable the fear is. And what comes to mind is actually how we're conditioned to fear things. It's this unknown, it's not talked about, we don't learn about it. And yet there's this whole aspect of your reality that you're seeing. I feel called to ask, like, what do you think was the thing that helped you overcome the fear of what was opening up?
Hmm. Finding someone that could relate to me.
Mm,
Having your people around you that understand the spirituality side of this, that there is more than just what we can see, feel, and touch, was impactful. Because when I talked about the experience with someone who had been having similar experiences or who understood mediumship, it validated me. It took away that I was crazy and loony and had this thing happening,
Yeah.
and this really intense opening of my gift, because I had other things that happened around it that were scary. I was in a toxic relationship, so there were negative things that had happened around it. So to get into alignment with somebody who just was like, oh, you're a medium, I was like, oh, I'm a medium. And it just was floodgates from there. So once you can start to connect to other people in your community, one or two even, it's validating.
So powerful. Yeah, the power of community. We really do need each other to develop ourselves and see ourselves in ways that we're just not going to see ourselves alone in a room without any other conversation, dialogue, like you said, validation. Oh my gosh. So good.
Yeah, and then we can uplift each other and support each other in what each other are doing. That's where it's at, you guys.
Yeah. And your individual power then magnifies. It's funny because before we hit record, you talked about surrender. And I always teach that surrender is, we're conditioned to think that it's a weakness, a letting go of our power. But actually, it's an opening to an even greater power that we can't conceive. And that flows through community. I bet you have something to say about that.
Yes. Well, and what I'm hearing is there's the fear piece and there's the surrender piece.
Mhm.
And so I feel like surrender is what I'm currently, spirits like surrender. Like, okay, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. And it's like I've done the work. I've done the work, I put in the action, I told them my plan. I have to let go. And it is the fear then creeps up of like, what if it's not real? What if I imagine this whole thing and I'm not going to have it? But what if you surrender and it's 10 times, 1,000 times, 10 million times better than what you even had planned? That's what I'm calling it. This or better. So the surrender piece is full trust. It's trust in yourself that you wrote it out, you planned it well. It's trust in spirit, the unknown, your higher self. It's trust that your inner guide's going to guide you on the path you need to be on in each moment to get you in front of that goal.
So beautiful. So I feel like that's the perfect place to expand into, what do you see as the role of intuition in manifestation? And actually, I had a second question there. So I'm going to go ahead and ask both and then you can flow. But you mentioned you are a medium. So what would you say is the difference between being a medium and intuition itself? And then how does intuition impact or support the manifestation process?
Cool. Let me start then with the difference between a medium and intuition. And this is actually a great question, because even coming down to intuition or psychic readings and mediumship readings, they are different. But let me just talk about it in the sense of my gifts as a person, as a medium, and my intuition. My mediumship gift specifically connects my channel to those in spirit. Mine personally does connect to higher dimensional beings, masters, teachers, loved ones, angels, plants, animals. I connect through the realms, through all the realms, and I can channel in from all of them. A mediumship reading, my goal is typically to connect to mom, dad, your sister, your brother, your loved ones, bring through evidence of who they are and bring through information, which will use my intuition. Mm-hmm. So my connection to spirit is my mediumship. Mm-hmm. My intuition is also a connection to spirit, but it is utilized for me personally. My intuition, my God, my connection to spirit to get me on the path that I'm meant to be on, whether that is like taking the leap and quitting dental hygiene and becoming a psychic, or if it's like, no, turn right, Jessica. Trust me, go right today. I'm like, I always go left. And they're like, please go right. Just trust me. And you're like, okay, I go right. And then I meet this amazing person that I never would have met had I not gone right. So it is my inner guide, my intuition, whether you connect to source, universe, all of the masters, teachers, loved ones, I call to all of it. So I would want you to speak my connection to source, my connection to source guides my gut instinct, which might actually come in a feeling. I just know. I might see a picture of what's coming or where I need to go. I might hear in my ear, and I might just sense in general, feel it. All of those senses are going to come in to guide you, but it's an unknown and outside, a non-tangible thing that connects us to both. So it's whether you're talking to yourself and your higher self, which is your intuition, or whether you're talking to other masters, teachers, goddesses, source, God, that would be more connected to the mediumship.
So great. And it sounds to me like all of us have that individual connection. Like you really described it perfectly, how you can feel a difference. And it sounds like you've developed yourself to understand when to use which tool. I definitely believe that our loved ones that have crossed over communicate to us, whether we are aware of it or not. They're there, we're supported. I've just recognized that more and more and more in my journey, but that our intuition really can be a powerful guide towards what it is that we desire, or towards what it is that's on our path that maybe we need to experience for levels of growth.
Absolutely. And really getting to know your intuition and your gut instinct and your yes and your no is number one. Is my body saying no to all of these plans that I had planned today? I need to shift gears, but my logical mind is like, okay, but you set this commitment, whether it's to myself or others, and my intuition is telling me differently. I'd got you to follow your intuition because there's a reason your entire being is lighting up with a no. It's not just that you don't want to do the things, because your logical mind's ready to do the things and your body's ready to do the things, but your intuition's like, don't do that. It will guide you where you need to go. But also, somebody is asking, I can already hear it in my mind. Somebody's asking, what's the difference between your higher self and this outside source? Because you're right, it is all one. But your mediumship is almost advice from others. Intuition is your connection to your own soul, higher self, and its decisions with all of this advice from others.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that really seems to me like that guidance comes from a higher perspective that maybe we can't see through our own human, but from this higher perspective, from higher self, from source, there's a different vantage point. There's a different view.
Absolutely. From the Akashic records, the plan that we also made, that we were like, okay, this is the path we're going to take when we get into this earthly body. And also, it's not all set in stone. Our intuition will guide us to the goals that we decide to shift and change. And you can change your mind at any point on your path. And you asked me how intuition comes into play with manifestations. Well, your intuition can give you hints. One, over the past few years, my intuition has popped in different pieces of something that I had no plans of manifesting. I was like, I'm good. Thank you. And then I second guessed it. And then after about 6 months to a year, I really leaned into it. And I was like, this is real. I had to really feel that it was real. I had no proof. And it's outlandish. And I'm still almost 3 years in waiting for it. But the past month, they've given me 2 big signs that they're like, trust us, please, we've got this.
Wow.
And the piece of it that's coming up for me now is the surrender. And the surrender is the trust in the intuition that I'm like, you see me shaking it off already. I'm like, okay, I'm going to let go. I surrender. And every time it comes up, I'm like, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. And I just also feel that it's real. So my intuition, yes, it dropped it in, but I'm also trusting myself through my intuition. There's another piece to this because, and I'm sure maybe it'll circle around. I'll have to find it, but I feel like there's another piece I want to add.
Well, what I keep feeling drawn to ask you about is this transition you made from dental hygienist to full-time psychic medium. And that was around the time that I met you, but I feel like this is, I mean, so much of it is relatable, but I just feel like this is it's such a scary thing to do something that's normal and acceptable in society. And here's what you do, and here's what you go to school for, and you're going to get the job, and it's secure and it's stable. And there's all of that societal conversation. And then there's Jessica Tanselle going, yeah, but I'm a medium and I'm going to do this other thing. So, I mean, there had to be this process that you're describing had to be playing out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's another thing that dropped in through my intuition. You should do this. And I just followed each step of the way. In 2019, so all of our lives changed over the past couple years. Like
For truth.
2019 November, I remember sitting and I was cleaning teeth. Of course, I already had my mediumship practice. I've already had a healing center that I had opened, but I was working part-time. So November of 2019, I was cleaning someone's teeth, and I remember my bank account was in the negative. I was like, what the hell? Spirit. And I'm cleaning teeth and I'm thinking about it. Literally, I remember it. And I was like, and I'm usually really talkative when I clean your teeth. So I'm like, we're stories back and forth. It's fun. I was real quiet and I was like, what's happening here? Like, my bank account's in the negative, and I remember asking myself, where is my manifesting mindset? And I was like, okay. I let that patient go. And I went up to my team leader, bank account in the negative. It had just dropped in. And I said, I'm putting in my notice. I'm putting in my notice. My last day is January 31st. I gave them a 3-month notice, which would help me with time, but it would also help them with time because it was hard to find help. And I just did it. And then I did it. And they still kept me on the tent pole. And then March, I was like, I've got to fully quit it. The week COVID hit, I fully quit again.
I'm listening to this like, I had no idea about this.
Yes.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I had to tell Spirit twice, I know I'm done. And my business expanded from there. Once I made the leap through COVID, my business expanded. And I spent a lot. Go ahead.
Well, do you feel like the negative bank account was in a way Spirit telling you this isn't working?
Yes, it was. It wasn't Spirit saying, no, don't do it. It was like, come on, take the leap. Like, it's not like you're going to get it right here. It's still the same as it was before, and the leap, by trusting the leap of my intuition, showing me this possibility, it expanded my life.
Oh my gosh.
It expanded who I am, my business, where I live. Life is good. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Up and downs happen. Lessons are meant to be learned, but my intuition showed me things. And when I felt a really big yes in my intuition, I worked even harder to get it. Means there is action to take. Let your intuition show you the action.
Yeah. Fully what I teach, right? I mean, massive inspired action.
Massive inspired action. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's part of being human. We are human beings living on the earth plane, and we can absolutely be connected to higher realms and higher dimensions, but we are here in the physical realm for a reason. And sometimes I think that action, that physical, tangible action, those practical steps are part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, I just love that. What a perfect demonstration of, obviously there was a deeper part of you that was manifesting this next level, and maybe you didn't have words to it. Maybe you didn't have the whole plan meticulously planned out, but it was showing up in your reality. It was like those breadcrumbs, those energetic breadcrumbs were, and I will say, I have heard and I have seen in my own life that like If you're not paying attention, the best way to get your attention is through your money, because then you'll start paying attention. so,
Absolutely.
so if something's going on with money, that's the time to go, whoa, hold up, which is exactly what you did there. You're like, okay, hold on a minute. And you looked and you listened and you tapped in. And it sounds like you got the guidance.
Yeah, and listen, if you're not listening and they need to get your attention and it's not through your money, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. So my best advice is to lean into your intuition so you don't end up with these huge bumps in the road that surprise you. It happened that way too. They're like, good Lord, somebody smack her. She's not listening. And there it was like boom, boom, boom. Oh, okay, I'm here, you guys. So follow it.
Yeah.
Let it guide you to make life easier.
That's so great. So my question, which you've already answered, was how has the process of manifestation helped you in your life and business? Clearly that has been described. And would you say that after going through an experience like that, you're like, it's like, how do you not pay attention now? I mean, look, I mean, the whole world that opened up for you in following that path.
It totally has made my life easier. But it also, when I made that leap of trust, after that, I feel like my channel opened more in the sense of it is a continual guide that I use. I don't just use my guide once a day. What do I need? I'm sensing it all day long in what I do. Like, oh, what do I need to do next? Where do I need to be? And yes, I'm very organized and I like things a certain way, but actually I follow my intuition constantly and it makes my life so much easier if I follow it. If I resist it, it can leave me stuck. If I resist it, it can push me back. If I resist, I can still choose to follow it or not. And if I choose not to, maybe I'm choosing a whole nother path for myself. For me, it's made it so much easier and it is a daily, all day guide in communication for me.
Mm. It sounds like you're living an intuitive life from your soul, the soul led life.
I mean, what an honor to be able to do that. And it takes time and it continues to get easier and your communication with spirit continues to get better the more you use it.
So good. So validating, especially for those of us that are like on their journey. Maybe we're in the beginning stages, to understand that fear is a part of it. Growth is a part of it. Bank accounts are a part of it. There's nothing wrong. You're just on the journey. Everything is temporary. They're just experiences that we go through that, if we allow them, expand our awareness and expand our path.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to see past the negative bank account.
Yeah.
And a part of moving forward is seeing it as this is just you said temporary, it's a great word for it. This is temporary. How do I change it?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we aren't asking that question of how do I change it? We sink back into I'm not worthy of it. This will never happen for me. I've seen so many people just not take the step forward into their manifestations because some bump happens to give them a lesson and they're like, never mind. And it's to find us a way forward and give us that sign. Things are temporary and there is the need to feel the belief that it's possible for you. Maybe you see it this way, and as the path comes, it takes you this way, but so what? It's even better than what you thought. So that's one thing I find is, can you move past the wall of fear and actually believe it's real for you?
And how
Because
would you say, I just feel like I'm right here with you, if somebody has gone through and had some failures, we'll use that word. There's no failure, but there is a part of us that can perceive a failure. So if they've gone through and maybe they've tried something and they have evidence that it didn't work out. So now they're up against, well, I got to trust, but also I have this evidence that, wait a minute, I thought I trusted and it didn't work out. What would you say to that?
I'd say take a closer look. I'd
Mm.
say take a closer look. What happened? And from your viewpoint, like really taking a deep look at yourself. Where did I listen and where didn't I listen? Where did I miss it?
Mm.
What did this show me? What lesson did I learn? How do I shift it and do it better?
Yeah.
It's a lesson, and let it happen early and in the easiest spot. But if you listen, can be gentle. But if you're not listening, it can be an awakening. So I'd say dig deeper if there's a failure. What do you need to shift? Because that's what gets us further. You
It's
learn the lesson, move forward. It's easier, it's better. And if it takes you somewhere differently, I do a lot of mediumship, but also Spirit was like, we need you to do a lot of healing work too. And I was like, okay. And that's, there was a difference, but I thought I was going to just do this. Actually, I thought I was going to just do dental hygiene, you guys. Like, I thought I was just going to do dental hygiene. And then Spirit was like, how about this one? So it's like, so I want to say it's okay to change your mind as well when your intuition shows you new things.
Yeah, and I think to highlight what you said earlier, because what I heard is there's nothing wrong. It's just what was missing, what wasn't in alignment, where were you not fully in your truth?
Totally.
Yeah, and then from those answers, because they will come, then there's what's the next step.
Yes.
And if the step is not what you thought it was, that's okay.
Yes. Yes. That is great. Perfect.
So awesome. So this is so potent, as I knew it would be. So potent, so powerful. I have had my own breakthroughs in this conversation. Tell our listeners, where can they find you? How can they work with you? And I think you said you had a free gift for them as well.
I do have a freebie for you. When you go to thejessicatanselle.com, you can download my How to Read Tarot Guide. This will walk you through each of the meanings of the cards, and it'll also teach you how to read them intuitively as well. So please feel free to download that. It's a fun guide, 46 pages and very detailed. And then from there, you can make it your own. I love working with people and building their intuition and opening their mediumship. And you can find that information on my website. You can also link in with me on Instagram and TikTok at the Jessica Tanselle. Those are always a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I love your Instagram and your TikTok. Always such good energy. So lovely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm starting a tradition of asking each podcast guest, what does manifest massively mean to you?
Well, what an amazing question. I also just want to say I always love our conversation. So thank you for having me on today. But when you asked me this question, it makes me feel it makes me feel manifesting to your fullest ability, dreaming big, not playing small, dreaming as big as you want when you manifest, and letting Spirit show you that they support you, that they are conspiring with you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much.